sling with a pineapple heart. Coffee dessert, just you know it's
Yes. It is 36 minutes after the hour, and we are finishing up our show this morning here at the Slam Dot Studios at Knox Talk Radio with a very special guest. First time he's been on the show with us, and we appreciate it. We read his stuff constantly.
About to say, it feels like he's been here in spirit.
He's here in spirit quite often.
Yeah.
Quite often, and he does a hell of a job. And I'm telling you right now, if you really want to get to know the pulse of what's happening, if you want to cut through all the BS and actually look at what's happening around your county, around your city government, and around the area, you need to check out Mike Donila's blog, Screams from the Porch. Mike is a reporter with WBIR. He's been around media here in this area for a long time, and I'm telling you what, Screams from the Porch, from all the blogs I've ever read, and those got a number up into at least the tens. Or
at
20s.
Least that many.
He has one of the absolute best blogs I've ever seen. Mike Donila, welcome to the Rude Awakening.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. We've seen that we got Mike up much earlier than he's used to being up, so we apologize for that.
Well, I appreciate the nice words. Now I'm going to have to up the game, I guess.
Now you got to bring it. No, we read your stuff quite often, and honestly, in a town that for a long time it seemed like a lot of people towed the line, and a lot of people did what they were supposed to do, and everybody played nice, and nobody really took anybody to task and said, hey, here's what's going on. You do that, and you do that with almost reckless abandon at time, and you do it very well. And I, for one, appreciate what you do, and I know there's a lot of folks out there that I talk to that appreciate what you do. And you put it out there, and you don't let them kind of cover everything up like is so many people are prone to do. With that said, do you kind of worry sometimes? Hey, I gotta make sure that I don't get too far. I can't. There's things I don't talk about, because you tend to talk about everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to strike a balance sometimes. I mean, I try not to editorialize a lot on the blog. I certainly don't in my normal day-to-day reporting.
Sure.
I mean, that's, your straight news reporting. Blogs are designed to have a little fun. I mean, you can look at just the writing style I use. It's just silly, goofy, silly, goofy colloquial style. But I try not to get opinionated on it. But I mean, there is I do call people out. I mean, I've got a good BS detector, and it gets annoying sometimes to see all the inside baseball, and you report the story, and generally the viewers, or when I was in print media, you don't have that time to get into those little intricacies in the inside baseball, and that provides me the opportunity to tell a much fuller story, let it supplement the daily reporting.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, you don't editorialize a lot. You do give some points, and you make it very clear here, this is my point and this is my thought, and then you usually follow it up, especially when we're talking about a lot of the stuff we've been talking about lately with the Board of Education. I love the fact that then you will then go down and list the facts as they are. And a lot of times people forget that, a lot of this stuff we talk about, it may be colored with our opinions and with our thoughts and with our own personal beliefs, but a lot of people forget that, a lot of this stuff comes out of just the straight facts of the case. And even recently, we talked yesterday about that, I guess the attempt to bring McMillan up on an ethics violation, and honestly, I read this over the weekend. It has to be one of the most foolish things I've ever read in my life. I can't believe that these are, A, adults doing this, and B, these are adults who are supposed to be leaders in this community, and the fact that they're on the freaking Board of Education. It's just, it's one of the most foolish, ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. They're going to bring up another board member, Mike McMillan, on ethics violations for sharing public records, answering a public records request.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, where's the basis in that?
There isn't one, and one of the school board members, I say it's political. I still say it's political.
Yeah.
One of the school board members, India Kincannon, she said it's not. But, come on, they're all smarter than that, They just are.
Sure.
It's, and really, reading over it again, it wasn't necessarily an ethics complaint that was filed. It was more like somebody complained about some silliness, and that was done in December, and it was last Friday, 2 months later, that they're now saying, oh, we won't have an ethics meeting. Come on. I mean, you had all that time to look into this. You've got 3 school board members involved in this, and nobody can say that it just doesn't hold any water.
Sure.
I mean, this was a pure attempt to embarrass Mike McMillan, and quite frankly, he deserves an apology. I mean, the guy did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Was it retribution simply for the fact that he voted against? He was the lone voice voting against the contract extension.
I don't want to say that. I would think though that he asks questions.
Uh-huh.
I mean, a lot of the votes are 8-1. Sure. So I wouldn't pinpoint it on the contract extension, but rather just a long, continuous pattern of not rubber stamping and playing the game.
Just so happened that the timing was perfect, in the fact that seemed to be the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, I guess.
I could agree with that. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand why why a lot of this stuff is allowed to go on, and why we know about it, and yet nobody seems. I mean, we in the media talk about it to a point. Some of us do. What do you think it's going to take to get the average person out there, and your average Knoxvillian, your average Knoxville citizen, to step up and go, hey, this really does concern me. This really is something that I should be concerned about? Because it seems like just an overall case of just kind of blasé, we go through our day, we don't really let anything affect us, kind of has fallen over this entire nation. I mean, and a case in point, we watch this happening, and yet there's very few people that seem to let this even bother them, let alone care about it. What do we have to do? What's got to shake loose before people finally go, hey, you know what? There's things happening, and I'm not even a part of it.
I don't know. I mean, people in general just don't pay attention anyway. But I don't know. The media probably should do a better job reporting this. Mm-hmm. I feel that WBIR does report it through extension of me being on here or through my blog, and we do your traditional broadcast stories. But, I don't see a lot of the other media around town reporting it. You see a lot of puff pieces sometimes. Yeah. So, and then it just comes down to the voters. People need to vote. If you support the board you have now, then go out and vote for the board you have now. If you don't, go out and vote for the opponents. I don't really, personally, I don't care one way or the other who wins, but, just go out and vote. Yeah. We've got 8% turnout. That's embarrassing.
It is. And then, and the simple fact that we were talking about this before, basically, if you want to win an election in Knox County, you don't really have to get that many people to vote for you.
No, you don't. No.
If you can go out and get 5% of your, you can go out and get 50% of your 8% of your voters, really just kind of not a large number of people. You just get them to vote for you, get 50 plus 1. There you go. You just walked into an election without having to do much work at all.
Yeah, yeah. And then you don't even, you get a lot of races where people don't even run, which is what I find interesting about these school board races. Traditionally these contests are like the redheaded stepchildren of elections. Yeah. And this time around, there's every race, there's 5 races, and every one except for one has more than two opponents in it. And we're going to see some turnover. Just by default, because 2 incumbents aren't running. Sure. But I'm willing to bet at least one incumbent gets beat.
How many people need to change on the school board for the board to start actually making some sort of a fundamental shift and some fundamental change to the way they're doing things?
I gotta be careful how I answer that. I mean, because I don't really have an opinion on how they're doing things now. They would need to shift the way they currently vote, or the issues that they support would go back to the administration. Mm-hmm. That's, again, no disrespect to the administration. I'm just trying to comment on how many votes. Oh, sure. And I should have prefaced this by saying, in your opinion, what do you think needs to happen for them to actually change? So right now you have 8-1. Mm-hmm. You'd need 5. 5 for the shift, but 4 to create that 5, if that makes sense. I suspect that there will be at least 6-4, and it may very well be 5-4 or even 6-3 shift. So there's a good chance that this board that is sworn in September is philosophically much, much different than the one that they have now. Sure. Now, do you think, again, just by default of you covering this for as long as you have, you think that if everything still stays the same in some of the races and only those 2 that are giving up their seats, if those 2 change, which they will, is that going to be enough to get things at least start moving in a different direction than what they're moving now? Or will it be business as usual? I think you have a board, at least publicly. I don't know what happens privately, but at least publicly does not ask a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. So I think that there will be more questions asked. Sure. And I think there will be a little bit of a change. Okay. Well, good. Well, I mean, that's a positive thing. We have a question here from Calvin. He says, what's going to happen now that the commission chairman is a McIntyre supporter who follows the chamber's orders? I'm assuming they're talking about the county commission. Talking about Brad Anders? Mm-hmm. Brad gets unfairly portrayed. I don't think he just follows the chamber's orders. He supports the chamber. Mm-hmm. And whether he's and I kind of hate when people say, are you a McIntyre supporter or are you not a McIntyre supporter? Because at the end of the day, McIntyre's not a bad human being. No. You know, it's more of his philosophies that people disagree with. I've always felt in my conversations, both publicly and privately with Brad, that he's called it down the middle, with school policy. Now, I know people are going to flame me for that, but that's how I always look at Brad. Sure. He's certainly not as polarizing as somebody like Tony Norman. Sure. You know, so. What are your what's your feeling on Dr. Briggs' recent little discussion about Amy Brawls, of course, bringing up the idea of, you know, these teachers, these county employees that speak out against their superiors need to be protected, and yet we have a guy who's running for Senate, running for Stacey Campfield's seat to challenge him, saying, no, they don't need protection. First he says, there's no problem, which where you get that, I don't understand. Apparently he's been under a rock for a long time. But then to come out and say, no, they're not protected. They should be dealt with in the manner befitting whatever they've done. What are your feelings on that? Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Dr. Briggs is running for another office, mm-hmm. and so his answers are not going to be black and white a lot of times, and he's going to be shifting a little bit in philosophy to maybe lure in some of those voters mm-hmm. that traditionally vote for Stacey Campfield. I mean, despite what anybody believes, Stacey's still a strong candidate. Sure. I mean, this guy knocks on every door several times. So Briggs has to go all out, and he needs some of those voters. Whether I think Briggs believes this or not, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We're talking with Mike Donila. He is his blog, Screams from the Porch, a fantastic read. Part of your day should be spent at least a few minutes of every day taking a look at what Mike has for you there, screamsfromtheporch.com. It's a great read. It's a great thing to at least inform yourself of what's going on in and around your county, in and around your city. And, of course, he's also a great reporter with WBIR
here in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to take a quick break. If you got a question for Mike, 865-243-TALK, 243-8255, or you can post on our text box. You can email us, The Rude Awakening at knoxtalkradio.com. A couple minutes left to go this morning with Mike Donila. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, more right here on The Rude Awakening. Stay with us. We got about 7 minutes left to go here in this Tuesday morning. It's still Tuesday, right?
Hey, Mike, it's Tuesday morning.
Look, Terry actually fixed the clock. It says
fixed
Tuesday.
the clock, so now you know what day it is.
I looked up yesterday. All yesterday morning, I kept looking up there. It said Tuesday, and I was thrown off all day long. I was waiting for it to be Wednesday today.
Well, they're all Mondays until you get to Friday, anyways.
Here.
Seriously, especially when you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
you should do this every day.
No, that's right. I'm going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning.
We're talking with Mike Donila with his blog Screams from the Porch, and he's on WBIR as a reporter. I'm telling you, you should come in once a month and just do a morning show with us.
Sure, absolutely.
Every month we'll have the Mike Donila Day. Mike's Screams from the Porch blog. One of the best blogs I've read in a long time, for the simple fact that Mike tells it like it is, doesn't sugarcoat, doesn't whitewash anything. He gives you all the facts, gives you everything that's going on, citywide, countywide. Of course, now we're into election mode, and I guess yesterday you were letting folks know a bunch of the Board of Education candidates kicking off some of their stuff over the weekend in the next coming days, and we're going to be into full election mode now, right?
Yeah, with qualifying ended last Thursday, so you're going to get a lot of activity, a lot of interest now until I think it's May 6th is the primary. Yeah. So it's.
Let's get your thought on some of these other races that's going on. Of course, as you stated, the Board of Education kind of gone from being the usually the back page of the election, and no one really knows what's going on, or really even sadly enough even cares what's going on, to where it's going to be front and center this time because you have just a ton of people running for a lot of seats. But of course, there's some other seats up for grabs as well. How do you think things are going to shake down in the the court clerk?
My opinion was I kind of suspected Joanne Murkowski, the current court clerk, was going to pull out. Mm-hmm. I thought it would have been much earlier than it was. That said, who was left? Steve Williams and Commissioner Mike Hammond at the time, and really, no disrespect to Mr. Williams, nice guy, and it's a local attorney, but I just felt Hammond, his name, he's been on the ballot for more than 10 years, and sure. I figured he was going to run away with it, and then as Jason Honeycutt, prosecutor in the DA's office, jumped in, and a local attorney I know, Don Bosch, called that a nuclear bomb got dropped in.
Really?
I mean, Don knows this guy. I mean, he's charismatic. He's smart. This is what he does, criminal law.
Sure.
And he jumped in. Whether he can raise that money and get out there, I mean, Mike's well known in the community, mm-hmm. And he's got a name. That remains to be seen, and I don't want to count Steve Williams out.
Sure.
But I think I don't know. That one's a close one. But
Honeycutt could really be the big game changer. They just what he turned his petition in with 45 minutes left to go.
About 45 minutes. He picked it up. Joy McCrowski said on Tuesday she was mm-hmm. stepping down. He picked one up Wednesday morning, turned it in Thursday at about 11:30. So
wow.
And really the reason he did that is because District Attorney General Randy Nichols has a policy. You can run against an incumbent, but you need to take a leave of absence. Mm-hmm. And he probably didn't want to go without a paycheck for a while. So
sure.
Obviously, though, he must have had supporters lined up to get those signatures and get that in. So
sure.
He'd been thinking about it, and once Joy's out, he can run and still work.
Sure. Well, good. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And when you look at that, that office, do they need someone in that office that really is more of a organizational person?
If you see someone in danger of starting a wildfire, step in and make a difference.